I'm going to read a speech many of you may have heard before, Ain't I a Woman, by Sojourner Truth. Then I'll go over the speech bit by bit to examine some of the rhetorical choices this woman made as a result of her understanding of the situation, the message she wanted to deliver, and the audience to whom she was presenting her ideas. What I read is not Truth's original speech. Rather, it is a modernized version. Well, children, where there is so much racket, there must be something out of kilter. I think that twixt the Negroes of the South and the women at the North, all talking about rights, the white men will be in a fix pretty soon. But what's all this here talking about? That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could head me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man, when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children, and seen most all sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? Then they talk about this thing in the head. What's this they call it? Member of the audience whispers, intellect. That's it, honey. What's that got to do with women's rights or Negroes' rights? If my cup won't hold but a pint and yours holds a quart, wouldn't you be mean not to let me have my little half measure full? Then that little man in there, he says women can't have as much rights as men 'cause Christ wasn't a woman. Where did you get your Christ from? Where did your Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man had nothing to do with him. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And now they is asking to do it. The men better let them. Obliged to you for hearing me, and now old Sojourner ain't got nothing more to say. Now let's do a bit of analysis. Truth sets up the issue for her audience. She wants to speak on the issue of women's rights. Then she sets forth and refutes 3 points made about that issue by other speakers. First, she counters the assertion women need extra protection by pointing out her own experiences. The repeated use of the phrase, "and ain't I a woman," underscores the absurdity of the original claim. In debunking the idea of the intellectual inferiority of women, Truth uses a metaphor. Some containers are smaller than other containers, but that doesn't mean they are inferior containers. They simply carry less. Here, she anticipated the likelihood her audience, comprised of many men as well as women, would resist the idea that women were the intellectual equals of men. No point in raising hackles, so Truth ceded the possibility that women's brain power might be less than men's, but that didn't mean it was non-existent or that it should be ignored. Lastly, she took a shot at an argument she found especially egregious. We can tell she was upset because she calls the speaker that little man in black. She was probably referring to a preacher, given the religious nature of the argument. This time, she reasons through the man's argument and points out its faulty premise. She closes by an allusion to the beginning of her speech when she remarked that white men will be in a fix pretty soon if they don't vote for women's suffrage, by saying now that women are asking for the right to vote, men better give it to them. This is a masterful bit of speechifying done by a woman who likely had little, if any, schooling, but who had a clear understanding of what was at stake and how some of the arguments being made were erroneous.